All right, guys. Stoked to have Amit on here. We'll let Amit get into it, but he has a pretty amazing story. Anyways, I remember actually when I made friends with Albert in Spain, he was mentioning that Amit, or you were down there in Peru doing some foiling at Chicama, and so I was like, oh, this guy is pretty cool, yeah. And then probably this last month started following your journey in Brazil. I'm sure we'll get into that. But that sounded like an amazing journey, and you were tagging us, and I was stoked to hear about that story of your amazing journey on the Brazilian coast. I was in Brazil last year, and I was blown away at the potential, the conditions, the quality of water and bumps and foiling that there is down there. And so, yeah, stoked to have you, man. Why don't you give us a little bit about yourself, a background, where you're from, how you got into water sports? It looks like you're in your surf shop right now.
I'm
I
in my
just looked up
office.
your Instagram. Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Um,
take it away.
well, I'm super stoked to be here. Firstly, I'm super honored to to talk to you and to be followed by the Voyager. I mean, that just blew me away on the personal level, I must say. Um, I was born in Israel. Been living here on and off. Got into surfing when I was like 7 years old, and then got into windsurfing pretty much. My brother was a competitor on windsurfing, and I kind of got into that to be his training partner, and I've been doing it for like 20 years, the Olympic class. So I've been
Wow.
representing in Israel in like two Olympic Games and many World Championships and European Championships, and that was my competitor side until Sydney 2000. That's when I retired from Olympic windsurfing, and I must say that I was a bit fed up of doing the same thing over and over again. And I mean, the whole Hawaii vibe from Laird Hamilton, Dave Kalama, Kai Lenny, those were my, I would say, role models of using the ocean as a huge, big platform and learning how to do all disciplines and whatever conditions bring along, just take it. I'm coming from the Mediterranean, so we don't have much happening. So this philosophy really suited me first to get fresh about being passionate about the ocean again, and just taking the conditions whatever the Mediterranean provides. So just playing wide was the probably the smartest thing I've ever done, and got into kiting, supping, then got into foiling around 2016. I was already in Chicama in 2017 foiling for the first time ever, and that was with a go foil with a kai. Yeah, and I've been foiling and flying ever since then, and got into downwind a lot thanks to you guys of putting a lot of social media on. So that was my pretty much information of knowing how to do and what not to do, and I got so inspired by your voyage through the water, and there's nobody around me to teach me, so I was all based on self-taught from the social media and following you guys. And ever since I got into downwind on the sub four, that's all I want to do pretty much. And yeah, last I think 3 years I've been doing mostly that. That's just blowing me away. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing sport. I look back and it feels like decades ago, but it was only a short 4, 5, 6 years of downwinding. And yeah, you're right. In the beginning, there was no online resources,
No.
and we're just kind of figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
From gear, where we could potentially do foiling, downwind foiling, and it's cool because, like I said, we come from a surfing background, so we've only paid attention to the surf and the waves and where the good waves are, and it's bizarre to me that there's these places all around the world that have great wind and great water bodies of water, and in Israel. you know, there's
Who would
where there's
expect?
wind. I mean, I who would expect, but like, if you can really get to a level where you're a high level windsurfer, and it's got to be great for downwinding.
Yeah, I mean,
T
I find a lot of the similarity of doing a downwind on a windsurf, and as far as reading the bumps and all that, it's very much of the same. So once I got up on the foil, reading the ocean, that was my strong part. So everything kind of got connected, and that's when I kind of started to look for long things like long voyage. I'm very much into endurance, and maybe it's the age crisis, I'm not sure, but it's what pushes me at the moment. What really passions me at the moment is doing long runs, and if possible, to do it day after day, and just to try to look for my own barriers of ability as far as physical and mental mostly. And I think that was one of the reasons that I chose to go to Brazil. Um, I knew the condition would be very on spot and very reliable, so I can really pull this dream off of doing 1,000 kilometers by myself, doing a downwind on the coast of Brazil. And this idea came after like really hard few years back home with all the mess which is going around, and a lot of crazy stories on the personal level, and friends, and it's been really hard couple of years, and that kind of pushed me of changing my life philosophy and chasing my dreams in the here and the now, not delaying anything. As we all know, once you got kids and family, there's always, it's never the right time to do the things for yourself. There's always the soccer match, there's always, you gotta drive this, you gotta drive there, and there's always things, there's work, and we put ourselves on the end of the list. And I kind of decided to change that and to put my priority on the top of the list. I mean, my kids are growing up by now. My daughter, she's like 25. My son is like 19 by now. So I kind of decided to look for the true dreams that I want to do, and just to make it. And yeah, I'm so stoked I've done it. It's been the biggest challenge I've ever done. And it's been amazing. Like on the mental side, I think I've reached the highest spiritual moments I had with nature, and it felt like there was this symbiotic communication or connection between the universe and what I was doing, and everything kind of came apart, and not came apart, came together to become this amazing experience. And just doing it by myself, unsupported, that was the top of the thing, just being on your own, and knowing to navigate, and all the logistics, and reaching new beaches that you need to look for the landing spot, and everything which is involved. And it's been a crazy month. It was like a month of wow, high level of energy, spiritual, and nature connection. Yeah, I can say that.
it it 100%, symbolizes what voyaging is, and it's stepping out of your comfort zone, immersing yourself out in the ocean or the elements without the without the knowledge, or there's so much other things to anticipate, and you don't know what's going to happen or what's going to unravel or if you're going to make it or not. But just overcoming that, and then getting to your destination or getting to the other side with, yeah, knowledge and wisdom and achievement. And man, I will say right now, that's probably one of the most impressive voyaging journeys that I've heard of. Is that 1,000 kilometer, or is it 2,000 kilometer
No, it's a
journey?
thousand. It's 1,001. It's a
Thousand
thousand.
and one. Yeah, and man, like it's you know Brazil got to be the perfect place. I mean, like I
Yeah,
said, I was there. Um, I was blown away. You know, Mizo was bugging me to come check him out over there, and I'm so stoked that I went, and I'm excited to try and go back every year to do camps or just to go downwind down there. But
It's
was
too,
a destination that I never thought that would have wind and real ocean bumps, and then a perfect coastline and setup to do it. And I'm sure you could get into this more because there's probably so much cool stories where, man, there's just those beach towns and those villages, those fishermen villages, and how cool everybody is, and how you come in and you can have coconuts and
yeah,
acai on the beach, and it's and it's also such a cool thing to just be on just like a exploration adventure.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
so tell me about what the process was like for you planning and how you chose Brazil and how you mapped it all out.
So I've been to Brazil when I was in my kiting thing. I was taking groups to Jericoacoara. That's like in 2003. I
Yeah.
was already doing kite camps in Jericoacoara in Brazil, and so I got familiar with the conditions, which are very windy, very consistent every day, side shore, completely side shore. So I had my knowledge about the coastline, the way the things are lined up with the wind direction, and I had my camps last year in Chicama, and once my camps were done, I flew to Brazil to make like a short pilot. So I even that was the time when you and Misa were there, I think pretty much. But I stayed a bit further, closer to Fortaleza around Cambuco. So I stayed there for like 10 days, and just to make kind of a pilot how I'm handling it and so on, and it felt really good, like really really good. So I went back home and I got into this training program, a lot of training. I think I reached like 25 hours a week of training, a lot of cycling, swimming, gym, stretching, the whole lot. And I went up to this journey by myself, really knowing nothing about the place that I'm going, which was a different coastline. It was around San Miguel de Gusto. Because the season change, and towards Jericoacoara, where you've been, it's kind of the end of the season. I wanted a place in Brazil that it's very consistent and reliable wind day by day. So I went towards São Miguel de Gusto, which is not far from Natal. And then I just kind of made my own setup. Found this really cool driver. It was my man for the whole time. And as far as the choosing where to go, it was every day based on the wind direction, which is always kind of north, but sometimes there's a bit of east into it, sometimes there's a bit of a west into it. So the decisions where I'm going to be heading or where I'm going to be finishing was based on a daily, decision in the morning. And according to that, all the logistics as far as pickup and accommodation and so on, everything was coordinated according to this decision. So it was kind of a day by day kind of ongoing mission, full on mission.
Yeah. So I'm curious. It's funny. We've had a string of days here in Hawaii, and it's been maybe like a week and a half straight of winds, and
Wow.
really good winds. And we were going every day, and we don't like to waste wind. So even though we're so tired, we're going. But I remember last year, and even the years before, I'd be foiling so much that my body would start to ache, and I would have pains in my back or my knees. And so actually this year I've been really proactive about training, doing some leg strengthening exercises, and I'm noticing that I can now foil
Longer.
more often than longer.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy about it because now that means more time on the water, learning, growing, getting some
Yeah.
good long training runs in. What are some of the exercises that you think helped you for your long journey,
Well, I think
or would you
mostly
recommend?
Well, most because I knew I'm gonna go for a day after day after day for I would say for anywhere from 2 to 3 hours minimum per day of flying. So my whole routine was trying to do as many hours as possible of very intense sport, um, and to do it day by day, and that's on the dry land. So
Hmm.
to avoid injuring, I kind of divided the whole volume of the hours to from running, cycling, swimming, just to get the heart working. And as far as power training, I was doing a lot of rehab for my knees, which are really in bad conditions, and my lower back. So I was very focusing on my injuries, previous injuries, and to back it up. And mostly, I was focusing on trying to make my body as balanced as possible because we are doing a very intense sport, which is, I don't know in English,
Asymmetrical.
asymmetric. Yeah, yeah. So we pretty much half of the body is way more developed than the other side, and I think most of my injuries came from that, not paying attention to that, and to avoid that, I was working a lot on my weaker side, just to trying to make it as stronger as my strong side. But one thing that I took from this long voyage is that I gotta train on my, like I'm a goofy, and I gotta train on flying on a regular, like because when I'm winging or para winging, no problem with foot switching. But once I've got
Hmm.
only the paddle and doing it for like 2 hours, I'm always kind of, shall I foot switch
Yep.
now, or
Okay.
maybe, not wanting to risk it to fall funny on my weak side. But it's definitely one of my key points for the future is working on my opposite side, and then I think the sky is the limit because once we can figure out how to be more balanced and not working on one side in particular, then I think numbers can really increase big time as far as distance and time on the foil, and because I think when you're younger it doesn't really make a big difference maybe, but once you get older, all those small dots are really crucial for doing it longer and safer and healthier.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for too. Like for me, I'm always very critical about my own style and technique and practicing good posture and making sure that my stance is narrow and even. And when I pump, I like to try and put my legs evenly rather than, not too front foot heavy, not too back foot heavy. Or and even if it is like that, like diving deep into it and shimming and finding balance because the more balanced and the more symmetrical that we can be as possible, and the more efficient we are, it's you can last longer, and it's. What about for you? What about nutrition? Like,
That was fun.
what was your nutrition program?
Well, that was funny. The first days when I was still jet lagged, I was on my original plan, and that was a lot of like a big breakfast, like a acai and then omelets and bread, and just getting ready for a big day. And I think after 2 or 3 days, I decided to change the whole concept. And basically, I was fasting from the previous evening, which I really upload a lot of energy and calories and so on. And in the morning before I went out, it was only coconuts, just coconut water, like anywhere between 4 to 6 coconuts, doom, 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 just the last thing before I get in. And on the water, I had only 2 liters of water. I had some bars and gels, but never used it. I try not to use any supplements no more. That's it.
Hmm.
I'm done with all that. And as soon as I got out of the water, same number of coconuts as I did before I went out. That's the first thing I put in, and then I would start to eat. So it was basically a long fast. I would say like nearly 18 to 20 hours fasting, and most of my nutrition was coconut water, And only once I was done with the run of the day, then there was a lot of food and a lot of carbs and veggies and I eat everything. I used to be vegan, I used to be vegetarian, and for many years, and now I'm on a philosophy of a little bit of
That
everything. It's the right thing for me. You know, everybody has his own whatever works for you, but I've been trying a lot of things because when I was windsurfing, I always had this weight issue. I was like too heavy.
mm,
So I was chasing my weight for so many years. So I've been into the nutrition side of things on the highest level for so many years, and now when I'm kind of free and not competing, and I just I try other things, and funny thing that fasting for me was amazing. Like I felt that all the energy that we spend on digesting, I could put it instead of digesting to put it into the paddle, to put it into the my legs, and I felt
mental
really really
sharpness. Yeah.
yeah, and very light feeling, and that thing just blew me away on a really really that was a very good lesson for me. And like back home, we don't have coconuts or fresh coconuts, and so for me or for my body to get all these electrolytes and all this goodness that those coconuts have, that was I could really felt it immediate effect on my body. Like I'm in love with that thing. Like really, it's the best food ever. It's God's food. That's how I call
It's
it.
just, it truly is a superfood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, when I travel to, different spots around the world and meet all these downwind communities, a lot of them have some origins and roots in windsurfing, over in, especially in the Mediterranean, in France, in Europe, when we go to Maui, and all over the place. And especially when I went to Brazil, that was the most wind sports action I've ever seen in my life, and I have a newfound respect for it. I grew up in on Oahu, and as a kid, I'd be driving by Diamond Head, and you'd see surfers and kite surfers, and they've slowly disappeared over the years. So I thought the sport was dead. You know,
Yeah.
um, but going to Brazil, it blew my mind, and I was stoked. But what I notice is a lot of these people who come from the wind sports, they're very knowledgeable, or they pick up foiling real fast. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned from your experience windsurfing that really projected you to where you are now with foiling?
Well, I think mostly is the amount of hours that I spend practicing in the ocean, learning to read the ocean intuitively, from seeing wind gust, seeing the wind gust and the wind shift through the gust. Those small details that, all the tactics in sailing and windsurfing is based on what you see on the water, and that make you going in the upwind leg either to the left, either to the right, because you kind of see what the conditions are providing, and you make your decision according to that. So I think the read of the ocean, that was probably the biggest thing I got out of windsurfing, and mostly with the bumps. Like when you're doing the downwind run in windsurfing, the better you surf the run, the faster you go. So you have the wind energy, but you got the water energy. And I think one of my biggest advantage while I was competing in windsurfing was the downwind. Because of my surfing background, I could see and read the bumps really, really well, and I was doing different lines than all the other fleet, all the other competitors. And I think once I got into foiling, and especially on downwinding, this thing just gave me a huge advantage, and spending less energy, because as you know, once you read the bumps in a good way, you spend less energy and you can do it faster and so on. So I think the thousands of hours that I spent training in windsurfing since I was really young until I retired from the Olympic stuff. That really, this knowledge really pushed me forward once I got onto the foil.
Yeah, and what about mentally for you?
Well,
Like what
I think the older we get, the bond between our body and our mental side of things is getting stronger and tighter. So I think now I can really push my body maybe more than when I was younger, because especially on the long things, not on the short, not sprinting at all, but going on a long thing, I think like I don't know, like 100 k's run or stuff like that. I think now I have way better ability of handling it on the mental side, and obviously it affects on my physical side. And I think that the mission that I've done in Brazil right now, like a long mission, like 1,000 kilometers, really showed me the connection, the mind and body connection, anywhere from recovering day by day, which was the hardest thing for me in Brazil because the temperature was so high, the water, the air, so recovering was the main issue. And that's a thing when the mental side of things really pushed me forward. Like I did a lot of self-healing with all the inflammation I had in my foot, and I'm a big believer about self-healing, trying not to take any drugs or medicine unless it's like crucial, and trying to heal myself. Doesn't matter what happens, through my mind, doing a lot of meditation, healing meditation, and in general, I'm a big fan of or believer about we're not using not even a tiny percent of the mind
our brain?
ability over our body. And the more I get into that, the more I see that the sky is the limit as far as mental, body and mind connection.
Yeah. Um, it's interesting because in my old sport of canoe paddling, you know, especially in the longer races like Molokai, a lot of the champions were, 30s and into their 40s, and
Makes sense.
feel like yeah, the middle-aged athlete is more optimal for these long distance endurance racing, right? Young people, they're the sprinters, right? That's why you'll see all the Olympic 100-meter dash guys, and they're in their 20s. And anything after that, you look at
The
the
marathon,
marathon runner or something,
yeah,
they're
40
all,
something.
in 40s, yeah. And
Yeah, for sure.
it's interesting because, yeah, like you said, I think a big part of it too is having the maturity and the mental toughness to, and the experience and the wisdom to tell yourself, um,
Exactly.
basically that the pain is temporary and your
Yeah,
body is stronger.
yeah,
And that really is a life lesson.
it
And
is.
for me, reflecting back to the canoe paddling days, the best canoe paddling champions that would win Molokai or the cruise, it was all experience, and it was more geared towards endurance and efficiency. And it's fascinating. There's so much ways to, and I'm thinking about like your journey, right? And it's just so much things that go into making sure that your body is healthy that whole time, right? Whether it's stretching,
Yeah.
hydrating, taking care of your body,
Ice bath. That was
ice
one of the
bath.
things I was
I was
missing
gonna,
so much in Brazil. I was
yeah,
like, the only ice I could find was for my feet, and I was
yeah,
dying to get into an ice bath, and
yeah,
yeah, I couldn't find any. That was a bit frustrating because for me, ice
yeah,
bath, especially when doing these long things and in this high temperature, that would have been a game changer for sure.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's all those health and wellness. Um, it's all those health and wellness attributes that someone with maturity is going to know that they got to take care of their bodies. Whereas, like, I remember being younger, and you should be like,
Just
I'll
go.
be out. I just go as hard as I
Yeah.
can. I don't need water. I don't need a good night's sleep, or
Yeah.
I don't, and your body can pull it off for a while, but as we get older, we start to respect our body a little bit more, and have a
Definitely.
very, we take care of ourselves, and that's when, our mind is strong, and then we take care of our bodies, and now our bodies are strong, and that's where the peak performance comes. Um, about your Brazil trip, what was some of your biggest obstacles? And it sounds like you had towards the end of your trip, you had some crazy swelling in your feet. I don't know if
Yeah.
those are old injuries or if that was just
That was
had arisen from the foiling.
well. I had a previous injury in my foot, on my left foot, and that was from a little bit overdoing. Um, and I kind of healed that before I went to Brazil. Um, and I think like 2 days or a few days before my travel, I packed all my stuff and I just, came to my board bag just to, just to feel the weight, just. And as soon as I lifted, like a few centimeters off the ground, my lower back was just locked. Like, I just laid on the ground and I said, "That's it. I'm done. Like, there's no way." I couldn't move, and that was like really few days before my trip, and I got into this really intense recovering from that, and I kind of decided to go for it. Although my wife said, "No, you cannot. There's no way you can go in this situation in this position. Like you're standing sideways and so I started the trip with a bad back and my left foot was already okay. And then once I got into Brazil, the back pain kind of slowly went away, and my foot was okay. But within I think like 2 weeks after I started, like halfway through the distance, around 500 k's into the journey, um, my right foot started to go big, to get swollen, and then my left foot joined the circus, and I was really standing on two very inflamed feet. That I had like very swollen feet, and that was a cause of a bit of overuse, and I tried to change my setting of my fall to, like, I was switching the front foot pressure to the back foot pressure, just to concept. I don't know the word in English. Concept. Cons. To
Compensate.
concept. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry for my
Compensate.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, no.
Sorry for my English. Yeah. And those was the as far as physical difficulties. I think my foot were like the only issue I've had as far as pressure. The rest of the body felt really good, like my legs, my back, my arms, everything was working very efficient, and and I think I was flooded. My body was flooded with endorphin and all kind of hormones that our body uh, get flashes once we're doing a very intense long runs like that. And I think the whole thing just put me in this high vibe, and ignoring the pain and going over the pain. And once I reached my goal, that's when the whole thing kind of came together. And once I crossed this imaginary finishing line, the pain got stronger. And from my competitive life background, I'm very familiar with the highs and the lows. Like when you have this crazy main event of the year, let's say the world champion, and everything is going towards that, and you're doing really like I won the world championship. Then the low afterwards, the 2 weeks after, the mental low is insane. And I think that's exactly what I'm going through at the moment. Like I'm here back home already for like 10 days or so, and I've had the biggest low, emotional low I've ever had. Like skydive all the way down, like very emotional and just being really low, like low energy, and feels like I've been, jumping over this big cliff, and I'm still like flying downwards. It's a big low, but I kind of expected that, and I think also my family knew it's gonna be like that, and especially my wife. I mean, we've been together for like 30 years, and she's seen all my ups and downs, and but apparently this was one of my biggest highs, and probably the biggest lows I've had so far mentally.
What's if you were to think back about your entire journey, would you say that it was more of a physical challenge or a mental challenge?
Definitely, it's a mental challenge. Definitely, it's a mental challenge, and yeah, I mean physically as well. But I think the mind just made me do it in a
Strong.
way that I wouldn't say effortless, but I think most of the time, when my mind was on the right place, it was truly effortless. Like really, I would just like I realized that there was a kind of like every run was different, but at the same time, every run was similar in a way of the the mindset that I would start, and then there was this trance that you just like you make thousands of decisions on the intuitive base only. Like my mind is completely empty, and that's when all the goodness happens. And then like 2 hours later, when if I fall in for the first time, it's like I'm waking up from a dream. Like what happened for 2 hours, and I'm already like UK's away
Here.
from my destination, and you know what I mean? Like when you're doing it, and it's like your body is here, but your mind is completely somewhere else, and but you've done so many decisions and so many, but you were not there. So I think
You're in
that's
flow state.
yeah, it's I love it. I just for me it's like the best active meditation possible, and it's me in my best version, and I like doing it as much as I can.
What were some of the most memorable moments um, of your trip? And it could be, when you
Mhm.
got to Brazil, in the water, out of the water, maybe some interactions you had with some locals. Well, share with us some of your most memorable moments of the trip.
Um, I think the strongest one was on my last day, finishing my challenge. Uh, I kind of met this family from Israel that moved to Brazil like I would say like nearly 3 years ago after October 7th. They were living in one of the kibbutz which was very highly attacked, and they decided to move to get them to heal themselves after this trauma. And I kind of met them towards the end of my journey, and on the last day they were there waiting for me on this imaginary finishing line that I made to myself, and it was Yaniv and his two kids. They're like 2 3 years old, and they were waiting for me on my imaginary finishing line. So for me, that was like kind of a personal closure of the 2 years or 2.5 years that I've had back home, which was really hard, and to have somebody from the same reality um, waiting for me on this finishing line, for me that was very emotional. I think that's one thing. The second thing that I take from this journey was, which was a life changing. I got into this panic attack, one of the runs, um, out of nowhere, for one reason which I never really figured out why it happened. It's like I kind of zoomed out from where I was, and looking of what I was doing in a different perspective, and like, are you crazy? Like you're in the middle of the ocean in Brazil by yourself. There's nobody around. It's like 30 knots, and this can happen, and this can happen, and all of a sudden I saw only the negative side of what can go wrong, and I just got sucked into this huge panic attack. Like really, it's probably the best thing ever happened to me. It was one of the most significant lessons, life lessons I've ever learned. And I was in this panic attack for nearly 2 hours. Um, and then looking on my watch and seeing all the data of this run, it's like, uh, it was fascinating to see again the connection between our mind and body. Like my heart rate was like on the highest I've ever seen it, and that was only because of the stress and the mental side I was at. And once I landed on shore, I was just lying down on the beach, thanking God for thinking, like that was a very important experience I've never had before. It's the first time I get into a panic attack in the ocean. Never happened to me, and I was very impressed by the way I dealt with it and the way I managed the situation. It was very easy to get lost in all that, and I was I was I was able to go back to my center, and to keep on doing what I was doing, because I already overtook the point that I could have gone out, so I had to just keep on going, and it was very interesting experience, and it taught me a lot about how to handle stress, and what my method was. I got into thanking. I just started thanking for anything that came on my mind, like thank for my board, thank for my foil, thank for my family, thank for the wave, thank. And once you got into thanking mode, all the bad thoughts were moved away. And second thing I was focusing was breathing, like breathing positive thoughts, and taking out, or exhaling only negative thoughts. And I think those two keys really helped me to push on this panic attack. I don't know if you ever had any panic attack in the ocean, but
It's real.
it's
Yeah.
it's real, and it's so important to make. I mean, I don't wish it to anyone, but on the other hand, it's something that
You
we
come
all
out on
need.
the other side stronger.
Yeah,
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 for sure.
definitely. That was a true life lesson, and I'm really thankful for that lesson.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, probably the closest thing that I've gotten to is just getting pounded in the surf. And
Mm.
so when you see a big wave coming, your heartbeat starts spiking out of nowhere and you haven't even hit water yet,
Yeah.
and you start pounding. But I mean, different scenario, but I think, yeah, as long as you're out there in the ocean and you have those moments to really grow and come out on the other side, it's just wisdom and knowledge and experience gained. And
It's the best. It's the
that,
best university.
yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's an amazing story, man. And like I said, there's so much probably cool stories and stuff and whatnot, day to day, and you know, it sounds like each day was pretty hefty too, right? So like each day you're probably doing averaging. Tell us, like 40
Well,
Ks, 50 Ks, two
yeah.
hours, or
The
what,
first the
what was
first
it
day,
like?
the first days when I was a bit jet lagged, the numbers were really small. Like I think I done like 25 Ks, and then like 3 days into the trip, I was like, 1,000 kilometers? Are you crazy? Like you've been here like 3 days and you're not even close to 100. And
Yeah.
and then I got into the rhythm, and I would say that the average was, yeah, I would like, yeah, 50 Ks. My favorite number was 55 Ks. That was like for me, five. It's a very important number, and two fives, it's even stronger. Like five, it's the Bible number, and it's a very spiritual number, five. Um, and yeah, I kind of got into the 55 Ks run. That was my favorite run. I did like three runs on the prone, I think I've done like 180 Ks on the prawn boat, aboard. I took with me a really cool local kid that is a really good kiter, so he was towing me getting up on the foil and yeah, once I was up on the foil, I was doing my own thing, and he was there in the background in case I was falling in or something. So there was another push.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, those runs on the prawn board were so fun, like so much fun, like, and for me it was a good, really good relief for my foot, just not standing on a big platform and just pushing down a small board. So that was yeah, that were actually my favorite runs, just on the prawn in the middle of the ocean, and wow, like 40-liter board. I was using the same gear through the whole time. I was using the 880, that was my front wing, the Armstrong, the HA, and I was on the 80 centimeters mast using the 180 stabilizer. I'm not a big gear freak. I like using the same gear for a long time. I think people are switching gear too fast, and well, that's my philosophy. I like to stay on the same gear for a long time. That's when I know I can really make a progress.
Mm.
Um, so I was using that, and yeah, like 55 Ks. That was like my go-to run. Um, I finished actually the challenge like 2 weeks ahead of time. I was planning to do it more days off, and I was expecting more days with less wind. And once I was there, and I got in touch with some local wind sport guys from the kite surfing and the windsurfing scene of the place, and they told me, listen, as long as your body can handle it, push. Like, it's like you don't know, end of season, maybe you're gonna have like a week of off conditions. So I took that advice and I was just pushing as long as I thought my body can handle it in a good way, and it really worked. Like, I had like 3 or 4 days off, and the rest I was on the water for like, I think 23 days, something like that,
Mm.
24 days.
It's interesting mentioning about the gear and using the same gear the entire trip. And there's going to be a lot of different feedbacks. People are like, being super tuned in with your gear and being able to understand exactly what it's going to do, and um, expecting your body to be able to handle it in all situations. You want to have that, you know, ultimate
Confident.
confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for me, I'm on the other side of the camp where it's funny. Like every day, I'm riding some sort of different combination. I ride the gear setup that I ride is F1, and what's cool about their system is just everything is so interchangeable, and
Hmm.
I'm changing out fuselage lengths, tail wings, front wings, mast placement, shimming. And one of the things that I learned this year is, sometimes, even in big conditions, and you ride a small wing, although it might be harder to pop up or pump through the small sections, it actually takes less toll on your body, um, in the bumps and riding. And so, I would encourage you in the same way that um, you've learned and grown in so many ways from your journey. Um, I would encourage you to start like discovering and exploring the gear and just adding more tools to your tool belt, and more skills, um, and because it makes a big difference,
Oh, for sure.
for sure. Like, because it sounds like the skills, the mindset is everything is there, and then you have this one last door that you haven't even peeked into yet, and it's gonna be an amazing new
I've
thing that you can unlock.
Well, I've been a gear freak for all my life, especially when I was competing. Although I was competing on what called one design class, like everybody's using the same manufacturer gear and everything comes from the same
For
mold and
racing,
so
yeah,
on. For racing,
standardized,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But still, then there's so much different which between any manufactured, let's say, one design board or mast or sail, if you take 10 out of those and you measure the stiffness and so on, you would find slightly different between every mast and every boom or every fin or every foil. Um, so you can really dive into the gear thing and get a lot of knowledge, and you can make your magic setup. Um, and I've been so much into it for so many years of my life, and I decided that for me gear is it's essential, but I like to improve my technique and to get familiar with what I have and to take the best out of the setup that I've got instead of looking for that endless chase of this sweet spot that it's there, and we can reach this sweet spot from different ways of shimming or twisting or whatever. But I kind of it's same with nutrition. Like I decided to step out of everything I knew before and to make something new. And for me, as far as gear, that's what I carry now. I have my very basic setup. I don't shim anything. I just, it's very. I know it's maybe old fashioned or not acceptable in a way, but that's how I do it now, and I'm fascinated about it. And I like changing. I like to change feel, like taking one, let's say a lift or an Armstrong. Everyone has his own kind of feel
Yeah.
to it. In general, doesn't matter if it's the high aspect or the surf. Every brand has its own kind of feel to it, and I like to change that every once in a while. Um,
Mm.
but I think as far as gear thing, when you ride with other guys, it's very helpful to see on top of the feel that you have to see if the speed is different and so on, and to make kind of a testing. That's the way I used to do it with the windsurfing. And as far as foiling at the moment here, I'm just by myself. There's no
Yeah.
reference beside the watch or the way I feel. But one day I'll be back in Hawaii for sure. I mean, I've been to Hawaii in 96, I think. I was doing with Eric Eder, a legendary photographer,
Mm.
and I never came back to Hawaii again for some reason. So hopefully that's gonna happen one day soon, and then I'll get some knowledge out of you guys, and we'll
We'll
make it
downwind
happen.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I, I think that's the cool thing about our Voyager crew here in Hawaii, or all the crews that are all around the world, is that and this isn't, and I always tip my hats to guys like you, where you by yourself, with no help, no resources, no friends or peers to really pick brains or try things out, and you guys are cut from a different cloth as well, you know and so committed and so dedicated. um, but what's cool, like I said, with trying other gear, it's so important, and you have to challenge yourself to do it, because not only will you learn and feel new sensations and new things, but you'll learn and appreciate what you like about your own setup, and you'll learn the strengths and the weaknesses of your own setup, or vice versa, and even trying, and that could be everything from boards to foils, and it's one of the best things. And for me, foiling, now for six or 7 years, I'm still like so excited, like a grom, when I feel that new thing
Feel.
that I haven't felt before, or the new
Yeah.
combination that I've tried, and like, whoa, it works. And so yeah, it's definitely a big part of someone's journey, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
But I
but yeah,
fully
man.
agree. I fully agree about that. But I think people are they're in. I don't know the word in English. Like the gear is the easiest thing we can get into as far as excuse or it's kind of an endless chase.
Yeah.
It's like the
Oh,
Hasper
it's
crash.
never gonna stop. Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
like
only going to increase, and for me, I've been through this procedure with windsurfing in the 80s, 90s, and when it was like the big fashion thing, windsurfing was like the thing all over the world, and once in my philosophy, once the gears start to be too much of a uh, expensive, and the chase of the perfect feeling got so intense, and I think that's one of the reasons why the sport slowly got smaller and smaller, and in a way it really sorry for the language, really fucked the sport in a way, like and with kiting I think it's the same, it's pretty much the same path. With winging I can see it already happening, which is everything is moving too fast, everybody's chasing for that special sweet spot, and manufacturers are using that crave that us users have, and within a year you have like in the previous years you would have like one design per year that has been upgraded, and now with foiling there's like within a year there could be like five six different types of the same thing,
yeah.
and which is amazing, but I think I'm not so sure that it's healthy in the long run for the sport,
Mm,
if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, 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 for sure. It's it's a wild ride, and
Yeah,
you know it could be like, you know, learning how to walk and then wanting to be an Olympic
run.
sprinter in two
Yeah,
months, you know, and it's just like you said, it could be moving too fast, and it's just yeah, it could be moving too fast, and you know, and that's what makes the sport special is a lot the people that stick around long enough to downwind. You know, you can look at those guys and recognize the journey, the struggle, what they've been through, and you can find common ground in it. And you know, we're all the same in a way. You know, we're
yeah,
all enthusiasts. We love the freedom. We love the flow state. We love the challenge. We love the voyage, and that's what it's all about. Um, but what okay, if you were to summarize your whole Brazil trip and say you're able to go back in time, or maybe to the next person. I don't know if there's going to be anybody that's going to recreate what you do, what you have done, maybe, you know. But what are some of the advice or tips that you would give to somebody? And it could be very specific as far as start here, do this, well, listen to the locals, or it could just be philosophically, you know, like what are some of the things that you would recommend, suggest, or advise?
on Brazil in particular, or to take the challenge that I've done in Brazil and to look.
Yeah, yeah, both, maybe both. Yeah,
Well, I
not
think
doesn't have to
I
be super particular. Like, you know, fly into Sao Paulo and go here, blah blah blah. You know, but
well it's
give us a your Rex.
well, first of all, on the philosophical side of things, that the two things that I took from this challenge is one thing is like I mentioned before, chase your dream and do it in the here and the now. That's the first thing, and I think the second important thing is that I took from this trip that it's very relevant for where I'm coming from, like in Israel the whole country is traumatized. Like people here are traumatized in a crazy way. Most of them are not even acknowledge that, or are. And for me, in this journey, I reached this. There was one low point in my journey that I felt. I like to be alone, but I felt lonely for like 24 hours. The feel of being lonely just got over me, and I did something that I normally don't do, and I was just asking for help. I was texting my friends, and I need help. I need support, mental support, and I was just flushed with so many messages of keep going and keep going. So for me, the the second important thing that I took from this voyage was asking for help. It's something super important, and I wish people that need help will have the ability to ask for it. So many people are in need for help and they don't know how to ask, and for me it's something super important that I this message that I brought home, and this whole voyage was about do it in the here and the now, and looking for asking for help if you need it. That's on a philosophical side of things. As far as recommendation, in particular, I think Brazil, for people who wants to do downwind in a very safe manner, in very consistent place. Brazil is one of the top places you can go. The wind mostly on the north side of the country would be side to side on, so it's very safe. As far as getting drifted out, you're always gonna drift in. There's a lot of knowledge about the downwind over there, and as far as logistics, there's a lot of operators that can help you out with organizing transportation and anything you need. They do it a lot in kite surfing and winging, so all the infrastructure is there. And don't do it alone. I mean, I love doing. For me, it's probably the best call I've done. But I think for most people, maybe it's not going to be the right go. And yeah, do it with someone, definitely. Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Well, no, thanks for sharing your journey. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it's like to downwind where you live, and
Wow.
what's your next goal or what's your next dream, if you've already started brainstorming the next one,
Oh
or if
yeah.
not, like it's still such a fresh trip that you've just experienced, and you're soaking it all in. But yeah, what's next, or what's it like? You said you have conditions coming up. What's your local run like?
Well, it's not very. The local run is very anywhere from, I would say, the most reliable one is like 12 to 13 knots, side on, mostly side on stuff. Now it's winter time, so we get some low pressure. Yesterday I had an amazing run, like 50, nearly 60 Ks. In the beginning of a very low pressure that we're just having right now. So it's been really windy and very big ocean for Israeli standard. Um, that was a good run yesterday. So it's not very consistent like Brazil or what you guys have in Hawaii, but every once in a while there is something. I'm practicing in very low conditions most of the time, very low wind and hardly any bumps. So when the conditions are right, I feel really good. Um, as far as goals for this year's, my next dream that I want to accomplish is crossing the Aegean Sea. That's going to be in June. It's the nicest part of the Greek island. So I want to start in Hildikiki, which is on the north side of the Aegean Sea, and to finish in the island of Crete. I did kind of a small pilot last year just to make sure how things are running, and I've done from the island of Lesbos to Tichos, which is like 100K, and that kind of made me realizing that I must have an escort boat, unlike what I've done in Brazil, that I was like by myself. Here there's so much traffic with ferries and boats and ships, and it's just too dangerous. So it's gonna be a challenge one, more of the logistic and finding the funds to do it, because it's quite expensive. So I'll see how things will come along with that. And my next mission dream to make things happening is coming to Hawaii, and just doing as many crossing as I can. In the beginning, I was very much into trying to get into the M2O, but the more I think about it, I feel like I want to do all those crossing, not on a competitive mode. Uh,
Mm.
I'm
Spiritual
trying to,
mode.
yeah, I'm trying to get away from my competitive mode as much as I can. Yeah, I want to do it like I've done the
On your own
Brazil
terms.
thing. Yeah, and to find the right person to do it with, and to come for like few weeks to Hawaii and just to do as many kilometers as I can in very deep ocean, and just to get a different energy, and just to be surrounded by people who are passionate about what I'm doing, and it's definitely on my list to do this year. So thanks to you and the Voyager that kind of put my story up in the air, I got in touch with people that I really like. Edo wrote me, and he was really psyched about my project, and we kind of got in touch. And I never met the guy before, but thanks to you, I mean, people are approaching and asking, and I've been really emotional about that. Like two-time world champion,
Yeah.
is psyched about my journey, and we've been talking, and so I'm definitely gonna be arriving to Hawaii very soon, and just to suck in as much voyage vibe as I can, and just to get fueled up for my next missions for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, like we would love to have you. It'd be an honor, and it'd be so cool to, cross paths one day and share some true voyages. And Edo's a close friend of mine, and he definitely has that same just go for it spirit. And
Yeah.
I think what you'll come across is when you come to, Hawaii, Oahu, and Maui, or other places, and it's exciting because even for us, I feel like most of the downwinding happens on Oahu, Maui, and Kauai, and then there could be a lot more growth on Big Island and Molokai and stuff, and there's no shortage of wind. And
Yeah.
but anyway, I think what I was gonna, just for you to just cross paths and be surrounded by a community of like-minded people, encouraging, and there's all of us that we love to seek adventure and voyaging, and that's what it's all about, is pushing ourselves, being in flow state, making offshore investments,
Hmm.
and and that's, and I'll end it on that. That's, for me, like one of the most simple concepts of life is, you, you, you know in life it's easy to get distracted by all these material things, money, life situations, job, work, what, any problems. But really, our true richness in life comes from happiness, and for a lot of us, our happiness is found in the ocean,
Yeah.
offshore. So it's the best return on investment is making those offshore investments. um,
Fully
but
agree.
yeah, I mean, yeah, stoked to have you on. I
Thank
feel like
you.
we just scratched the surface of your story, and you probably write a whole book about it. Um, but I'm stoked. Like I said, I look forward to meeting you one day out here in Hawaii, and we'll voyage together. And if you guys check them out on Instagram, if you're ever in Israel, I mean, this might be wild, but people might come check you out in Israel now.
Well,
It's
I've got everything you need.
Well, right on. I appreciate your time. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
positivity, your words, your inspiration, and we'll be in touch, man. Let's
Thank
stoked
you
to
for
have you
having
on.
me. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Aloha.
Ciao.